Hello again! The first thing I would like to do today is something I promised to do a month ago, but because I bruised my hand then, I couldn't continue at the time. And since then, I went to the fair in Arnhem, to a museum, then a class, and I just haven't had the time to do that since then. So now I will finally show you how to use the table saw to cut a rebate. And this is the example I used, and I showed you this a few vlogs ago. And there's a rebate, and it has this lacquerware piece in there to create a frame for the fire screen. Now, when we're using a table saw, please be careful and use all the safety precautions you can, because even if it's small, it can still seriously hurt you. And because we'll be cutting something small, I would like to show you this tool I've made. And it's a gripper or push block. And it keeps your hands away from the wood and the rotating blade. So you just put that on your piece of wood that you're cutting and slide it forward, and your fingers are nowhere near the blade, which is great. So before we start cutting the rebate, I would like to show you how I made this tool. You'll need some bits of wood, and this is for the base, and it's an old piece and I used it for drilling, but it's fine, and I'll cut some bits off. And then I'll need another piece of plywood as a handle, and this is just big enough to hold my hand, and I'll cut a little so I can hold it. And then I need some space at the bottom because I'm going to cut a groove in here, so that's going to slide in there, glue it and screw it so it's really tight and you know, it won't go anywhere. And then you'll also need some sandpaper, and this is the foam-backed sandpaper, which I really like. This one is by 3M, and it's not about the sandpaper, it's about the foam. And I'm going to glue that to the back, like that. And that's why I've got an old piece, because we're not interested in sandpaper. So this can be thrown away, basically. But I'm interested in the foam. So that's going to be like that. So, for the handle, you just want to make a shape that feels comfortable in your hand. And you're going to be pushing on it, so just pretend that you're going to push on the handle and create a shape that makes, you know, feels good on your hand. Okay, I think this will be the shape that I like. So then I can hold it with my fingers like that, and my thumb will be still on the wood. You can't see it on the other side, but my thumb will be here somewhere, I think. I think that will be okay. And I'm going to round it here, so, you know, I don't know, the top will be rounded. But something like that. You can change it to whatever design works for you. So I'll cut that out now. Okay, I finished that. And I did that on the bandsaw. Very, very noisy. And the blade that's in there is a little bit wide to go around the corners, but it's fine. It will work. And I didn't feel like changing it because that's a bit of a job for such a small project. So this is fine. And now I'm going to cut. Just measure that. Oh, by the way, and it feels quite comfortable. So I'll just round those off a little bit. And really, it's not necessary because it's fine. I'm not going to be working with this thing for hours on end, so it feels fine. But anyway, so that's going to go on there. And I'll just, because that one isn't straight, so I'll cut that straight and then find the middle, mark it, cut the bottom and the top, and then cut this out so that the handle will fit in there. In the center, of course. Oh. So first I'll cut that straight and cut the ends off. There we are. Now it's nice and straight, so now I can find the center approximately. And you can make it bigger, smaller, and in my case, this was dictated by the size of the wood I found. So I want about 1 centimeter at the front to give it some support, because otherwise if I cut it, it will fall in 2 halves. So it'll be somewhere over there. Okay, I'm cutting short of that line here, because if you turn it over, you can see the saw is going further, so I'll have to check. I can measure it. See? Okay. Now, the other side. Okay, so cut that out, and that should fit in there. Nice and tight. Yep, it fits. So, well, I'll cut a little bit off here. And then I said glue and screw. I think screwing is going to be a little bit difficult here. Just glue. I think it will be fine. Looks good. It's glued in and it's quite firm, so let me get rid of those. And then I cleaned up the sandpaper because there was all white stuff on there. I think it was gesso or something like that. So I cleaned that and let it dry, and now I'll just glue that on here. That, and then a little bit more here in the back. And I'm just going to use regular wood glue because if I want to take it off again, maybe it wears out, I don't know, then just wood glue, just if you soak it in a little bit of water, it will just come off. So maybe I'll put some more in the holes there. Fill those up as well. And just try to keep it straight on the edges, because then you can go really close to the fence with it. And if you have this sticking out a little bit, then it's going to touch the fence. And, well, this is just better. So maybe a tiny, tiny gap around the edge. And what? Oh, it's moving around, of course. Just make sure. So I'll just put that down like that, and put some weights on there. And let it dry. I think it takes about half an hour or so for the wood glue to dry. See, it even comes up. And then I'll cut the other side off once it's dried. It's finished. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I rounded off the back of the handle and the front and the edges, so it's soft and quite comfortable to hold. And the bottom, of course, is the little foam pads that were part of the sandpaper. And I thought you could use other, this is just another bit of foam. I guess you could use that. I don't think that will stick with wood glue though, so you may have to use another glue. You could use one of those thin rubber strips, put that on there. And I also thought you could use some leather, because that also has a nice grip, and glue that on. And because that would also, you know, actually that's really good. But yeah, I use this. Maybe I will use leather if I make another one. Anyway, it's finished. Let's use it. And to show you an example of the frame, this is the frame I used for my fire screen, but I have two more examples here, and these beautiful frames are by John Hodgson, and they show you I'll show you the back, and here you can see the rebate cut very well. And all it is basically is a 90-degree angled cut from a piece of wood or other material, so that you create this L shape. And here's the smaller one, exactly the same principle. And basically this is done in most frames. And here is a frame I made many years ago from a bit of oak, I believe it was. And the picture is by Ellie Ipma, the painting. And this one isn't attached yet, that's why I can show you. It just fits in the groove, or in the rebate cut in the back, like that. So that's what we use it for. And you can use it for construction as well. And I've shown you that in the door making video. So the idea is pretty simple, really. You just cut out a bit of wood in an L shape at a 90-degree angle. And then whatever you want to fit in there, if you have the height correct, can go in there. And this one is just a little bit sticking out, or a little bit deeper, I should say. And that's up to you. You can make it a lot deeper or make it flush with the edge. Let me show you how to do that on this piece. Okay, so I'm using my Proxxon table saw for this because the blade is bigger on this one, and I'm using quite a bit of thick plywood. So we're going to cut something similar to this on the other side. Now, the first thing you want to determine is where do you want the groove and how big should it be. So I'm going for well, 2 layers of ply. I think that would be easiest to show you. And of course you can make it deeper. It all depends on your wood, and you know, the deeper you make the cut, then let's say I make the cut here and cut all of this away, then there's only a tiny bit of wood left. So that thickness that you're leaving, that depends on the wood you have, how strong it is, and you need to leave something, because if you make it too thin, this bit, then it's going to break off. So I would say half or something. Sometimes 3/4 of, you can take away 3/4 of the wood, and like I said, it depends a little bit on the wood. But I'm going for here approximately. So then you need to set the blade to that depth. That's about it. And it's easier to make 2 cuts, so lower the blade first a little bit, and then maybe raise it up a little bit if it's not deep enough. And then we also have to determine, so this is going to be the depth right here. And we also have to find out how wide the cut has to be. And I'm just making it up for the video, but let's make it that wide, like that. There. So now I've determined where the cut is going to be. So now I have to set the fence. And I'll just move the piece of wood close to the blade so I can see where the blade is going to hit the piece of wood here. And take into account that the blade has a certain thickness. So you want to stay on this side with this bit of wood here. You want to stay on this side of the blade. There. Line that up. And this always, that's what I don't like about the Proxxon. This is an older one, so I think the newer fences have an attachment on the other end as well. But did you see what happened? Is if you close it, it moves. Oh, now it doesn't, of course. So you have to keep adjusting it so it's in the right. There we go, it moves again. But I think it's okay. Anyway, you have to make sure that is the correct distance. So from this side of the blade to the fence. There. Now I'll turn it around because I want the cut to be on this side. And I'm going to use my handy tool, because even though this piece of wood is not that small and the blade is not coming out through the wood, because right over here it's going to be like that, it's only going halfway, it's still safer to do it with this push tool. So we'll do that. I'll wear my ear defenders because it's very noisy. Oh, and another thing, because I cut this groove on this side already, if I push down on it here, it's going to flip up. So you have to go all the way to the side and make sure you push down, you push forward, or you push down, you push against the fence, and you push forward. So down, sideways, and forward. So now we have the depth of the cut, and now we have to determine how wide it is going to be, like that. And I'll turn that around here. And set the fence again, like that. I think that's okay. And now I also have to, oh, I should do that first. Because otherwise I can't see what I'm doing. So the height of the blade. And like I said before, you can always raise the blade up a little bit. But once you've cut it away, you cannot, well, you can glue it back in, but it's easier to just raise it if you're not sure. So now the blade is at the correct height, and I have to set the fence again see. Moved again. That should be okay. Now I cannot use the push block for this, so I'll have to be very careful. And keep your thumbs out of the way. Keep all of your fingers out of the way. And just hold it like this. So my thumb is not touching my other finger. Well, the other finger, that's going to touch the fence in this case, but just be careful. There. And this came out. This is what came out. And it's a lot smaller because of the thickness of the blade. As you can see, if I put that back in there, that gap in there, that's the thickness of the blade. So there we are. Cut. And it's could have been a little bit higher. But that's something you could adjust that by going back. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little, tiny little. But you can adjust that by raising the blade just a tiny bit and going back over it. So that is one way of cutting a rebate. Now there is another way, and I'll show you that by going this way. Well, actually the height is still good. So what I'll do, and I usually do this by hand because this is a bigger piece, but you can, of course, again, use the push block, especially if you make these tiny pieces with for miniatures. I would suggest always to use a push block. So I've cut that. Now I still have to cut that away. So what I do usually, because I'm a little bit lazy, is use the, I'll use this, set to 90 degrees. And of course that was the first cut. We've done that. And now I'll just move up my piece of wood away from the fence just by little increments and cut it until it's gone. It's that simple. So I'll hold on to this. I've just done that cut, so move it slightly less than the width of the blade. Move it up until you get to the end. And that's all there's to it. Well, that was it. Cutting a rebate on the table saw. I hope that was helpful to some of you. let me just put this fire screen back into the bedroom. Thank you for watching. Until next time.